Hi everyone, welcome to Emma, a true infidelity story. I'm excited to share a new story with you. The scent of freshly brewed coffee wafts through the air, mingling with the soft hum of the morning news on the television. I sit at my desk, the glow of my laptop screen, casting a pale light across my face. My fingers hover over the keyboard, but my mind is elsewhere, lost in the labyrinth of my thoughts. I've always been good at crafting stories for others, spinning tales that polish tarnished images, or launch new ventures into the public eye. But here, in the quiet solitude of my own home, the narrative I'm living feels increasingly hollow. My gaze drifts to the framed photograph on my desk. There's Charles, his smile as infectious as the day we met, his arm around me, and Toby, our golden retriever, his tongue lolling out in a perpetual grin. We look happy, the epitome of suburban bliss. Yet as I trace the lines of our faces with my eyes, I can't help but feel a disconnect, like I'm an actor in a play where I've forgotten my lines. The company retreat looms on the horizon, a beacon of change, or perhaps just a mirage in the desert of my routine. It's supposed to be about team building, but for me it's an escape, a chance to step out of this role I've been playing. I remember the first time I felt this emptiness, like a slow leak in a tire. It was subtle at first, just a slight drag on my daily drive, but over time it grew. Until now it feels like I'm running on rims. The proposal in front of me blurs as my thoughts wander to the retreat. What if this weekend could be more than just a break from work? What if it could be a catalyst for something profound? Something that could shake the foundations of my life. I imagine the retreat center nestled in the mountains, surrounded by towering pines. The air there is crisp, the kind that fills your lungs with the promise of something new. Maybe there, away from the familiar, I could find what's been missing. My phone buzzes, pulling me back to the present. It's a message from Charles, a reminder about our dinner plans. Tonight I type back a quick response, my fingers moving mechanically. He's excited about trying out a new Italian place in town, but my heart isn't in it. As I close my laptop, I catch my reflection in the dark screen. There's a weariness in my eyes that wasn't there before, a silent testament to the battles I've been fighting within. I stand stretching, feeling the stiffness in my back. From hours of sitting, Toby bounds over his tail, wagging furiously, oblivious to the storm brewing in my mind. I pat his head, his warmth, a small comfort against the chill of my thoughts. Tonight I'll go through the motions, laugh at the right moments, and nod along to Charles's stories about his latest coding project. But inside I'll be counting down the hours until the retreat, until I can breathe in that mountain air, and maybe, just maybe, find a piece of myself that's been lost. The drive to the retreat will be long, the road winding through landscapes that shift from urban sprawl to rural tranquility. Each mile will feel like a step further from the life I've known and closer to something unknown, something that might just fill this void. I pack my bag with essentials, clothes, toiletries, my journal, and a book I've been meaning to read. Each item feels like a choice, a step towards or away from the life I've been living. As I zip up the suitcase, I pause, my hand resting on the fabric. What am I really looking for? Is it clarity, or am I searching for an exit from this maze of my own making? The retreat promises workshops, team activities, and fireside chats. But for me, it's the quiet moments I crave, the ones where I can sit alone with my thoughts, undisturbed by the expectations of others. Maybe in those moments I'll find the courage to confront this emptiness, to understand what's been gnawing at me. I glance at the clock. It's time to leave for dinner, to slip back into the role of Evelyn, the happy wife, the successful PR specialist. But tonight, there's an undercurrent of anticipation, a whisper of change that makes the usual routine feel like a prelude to something more. As I walk out of my office, Toby follows, his nails clicking on the hardwood floor. I lock the door behind us, the sound echoing like a promise, or perhaps a warning. The retreat is not just a getaway, it's a confrontation with myself, a chance to peel back the layers of who I've become and rediscover who I might still be. And as I step into the evening, the first stars beginning to twinkle in the dusk, I feel the weight of my life, and the possibility of its transformation pressing down on me this weekend. I'll find out if the escape I seek is from my life, or towards a new beginning. The retreat is set in a luxurious lakeside resort, the kind of place where you can forget your troubles. Or so I hope. The first day is filled with team-building exercises, but my heart isn't in it. I find myself wandering off during a break, seeking solitude on a private terrace overlooking the serene lake. The tranquility here is almost palpable, and for a moment I feel at peace. Toby, who has tagged along for the retreat, follows me, his tail wagging with excitement. We play fetch, and I laugh genuinely for the first time in weeks. The sun sets, casting a golden hue over the water, and I decide to stay a bit longer, enjoying the solitude with my cute dog. As the last light of day fades, I hear footsteps approaching. I turn expecting to see one of my colleagues, but instead it's Evelyn from HR. Her presence here in this moment of solitude feels like an intrusion. Yet there's something in her eyes, a shared understanding, perhaps, that makes me pause. Evelyn, I say, my voice carrying a mix of surprise and resignation. She smiles, a gentle, knowing smile. I saw you leave the group, thought you might need some company, or at least someone to share the view with. We stand there side by side, watching the lake darken to a mirror of a night sky. It's beautiful, isn't it? She remarks, her voice soft, almost lost in the evening breeze. It is. I agree, feeling the weight of my thoughts lighten just a bit. I needed this to step away from everything. Evelyn nods, her gaze fixed on the horizon. Sometimes we need to step back to see things clearly. I've been feeling the same way lately. Her words resonate with me, and I find myself opening up the words, spilling out like water over a dam. I feel like I've been living someone else's life. The retreat. It's not just about team building for me. It's about finding out who I am, or who I've become. She listens, her silence encouraging. After a moment, she speaks. It's brave what you're doing, facing the truth of your feelings. Most people go through life avoiding that confrontation. The conversation shifts, becoming more personal. Evelyn shares her own struggles, her own search for meaning in her career and personal life. It's comforting to know I'm not alone in this, that even someone like her who seems to have everything together battles her own inner demons. As we talk, the night deepens, the stars becoming more vivid, reflecting in the still water. Do you think it's possible to change? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Change is inevitable, Evelyn replies, but choosing to change, that's where the real power lies. You're here, aren't you? That's the first step. The air grows cooler, and I wrap my arms around myself. Evelyn notices and offers her jacket, which I accept with a grateful nod. We sit on the terrace's edge, our feet dangling over the side, the cool stone beneath us grounding us in this moment of shared vulnerability. Suddenly Toby, who had been lying quietly beside us, perks up, his ears twitching. A rustling in the bushes nearby catches his attention, and he bounds off, barking playfully. Evelyn and I watch him, a smile breaking through the seriousness of our conversation. He's a good, cute dog, she says, watching Toby chase after whatever creature has disturbed the peace. He's the best, I reply, my heart swelling with affection for him. He's the only one who seems to understand me without words. We fall into a comfortable silence, watching Toby return, his tail wagging furiously. He drops a stick at my feet, and I throw it, watching him dash off again. You know, Evelyn begins, her tone thoughtful. Sometimes it's not about finding something new, but rediscovering what's always been there. Maybe this retreat will help you see what's been right in front of you all along. Her words linger in the air, mingling with the night's chill. I ponder them, feeling a shift within, a subtle realignment of my perspective. Maybe she's right. Maybe I've been looking too far ahead, missing the beauty and the truth of what's already here. As the night deepens, we decide to head back to the lodge. The walk is quiet, our steps in sync, the path lit by the soft glow of lanterns. The retreat, with its promise of change, feels less like an escape now, and more like a journey inward. A path I'm not walking alone. Back at the lodge, the warmth of the fire welcomes us, and I feel a sense of community, of not being alone in my quest for self-discovery. Evelyn gives me a small, encouraging smile before she heads to her room, leaving me with thoughts swirling like the smoke from the fire. I sit by the fire, Toby at my feet, his head on my lap. The flames dance, casting shadows that seem to mimic the turmoil within me. But tonight there's a new feeling, a flicker of hope perhaps, or the beginning of acceptance. This retreat, I realize, isn't just about finding a new path. It's about understanding the one I've been on, the one I've been too blind to see. And as I stroke Ziggy's fur, feeling his steady breathing, I know that whatever comes next, I'm not alone. As the evening deepens, the air cools and I wrap myself in a shawl. Toby, ever the companion, curls up beside me in this moment of vulnerability. My thoughts wander to my marriage, the lack of spark, the routine that has become our life. I confide in Zig, speaking aloud my fears and frustrations, not expecting any response, but finding comfort in the act of voicing them. I feel like I'm just going through the motion. Ziggy, Charles and I were like 3 ships passing in the night, each on our own course, barely acknowledging the other's existence. It's not that I don't love him, but where did the passion go? The excitement we've settled into this comfortable numbness. Toby's eyes meet mine, and though he doesn't understand the words, his presence is soothing. I continue, my voice barely above a whisper. In this retreat I thought it would be an escape, but now I'm not so sure. What am I running from? Or to the night grows darker, the stars more vivid, and in a moment of reckless abandon, driven by loneliness and a desperate need for connection, I cross a line I never imagined I would. The act, though fleeting, leaves me in a state of shock and confusion. I've betrayed Charles in the most unimaginable way, not with another person, but with our cute dog. The realization hits me like a cold wave. What have I done? The guilt, the confusion? It's overwhelming. I stand abruptly, causing Toby to look up at me with concern. I pace back and forth, my mind racing. I've lost myself. Y0U, I've lost my way. I mutter more to myself than to him. How do I even begin to process this? How do I face Charles now, knowing what I've done? The weight of my actions presses down on me, and I feel the tears start to well up. I sit back down, pulling Toby close, seeking some semblance of comfort in his warmth. I need to figure this out. Y0U, I need to understand why I did this, why I felt this was the only way to feel something. Anything I say, my voice trembling. Maybe this retreat isn't just about escaping. Maybe it's about confronting these feelings, these desires, these mistakes. The silence of the night envelopes us. The only sound, the gentle lapping of the lake against the shore. I take deep breaths, trying to calm the storm inside me. I need to talk to someone who might understand. I decide, thinking of Evelyn from HR. Her words earlier about stepping back to see things clearly resonate. Now more than ever. I make my way back to the lodge, Toby trotting beside me, his presence a silent support. The fire in the common room still burns, casting a warm glow over the room. Evelyn is there, sitting alone, her gaze lost in the flames. Evelyn, I say softly, not wanting to startle her. She looks up, her eyes meeting mine with a gentle curiosity. Couldn't sleep, she asks, her voice kind. I shake my head, sitting down beside her. I did something I'm not proud of. I need to talk about it, to understand it. She listens as I recount the evening, my voice breaking as I confess my actions. Her expression doesn't change to shock or judgment, but rather she nods, understanding the complexity of human emotions. It's not uncommon to seek connection in unexpected places when we feel disconnected from our lives, she says thoughtfully. But what's important now is how you choose to move forward. What do you want from this moment? From this retreat? Her question hangs in the air, heavy with implication. I think about Charles, about the life we've built, about the love that's still there, buried under layers of routine and neglect. I want to find myself again. I say the words, feeling like a vow to reconnect, not just with Charles, but with who I am. I've been living in this shell, and tonight I broke out in the worst way possible. But maybe, just maybe, it's a wake-up call. Evelyn nods, her hand reaching out to squeeze mine in a gesture of solidarity. Sometimes we need to hit rock bottom to start climbing back up. You're not alone in this, and you have the strength to change, to grow. We sit in silence for a while, the fire crackling, the lodge creaking with a night's chill. I feel a resolve building within me, a determination to face my issues. Head on. Thank you, Evelyn. I whisper, feeling a small measure of peace, for listening, for understanding. She smiles, a genuine warm smile. We're all on our own journeys, but sometimes sharing the path helps more than we realize. As I stand to leave, Toby follows his tail, wagging softly. I look back at Evelyn, who's now gazing into the fire, again lost in her own thoughts. The walk back to my room feels different, not just a physical journey but a metaphorical one. Each step feels like a commitment to change, to confront the emptiness, the betrayal, and to seek redemption. Once in my room, I sit on the edge of the bed, Toby curling up beside me. The night outside is silent. The retreat's tranquility a stark contrast to the turmoil within. I pull out my journal, the one I packed with the intention of documenting this retreat, and start to write. Tonight I crossed a line I never thought I would, but in doing so I've seen a part of myself. I've been ignoring this retreat, this moment. It's not just an escape. It's a confrontation, a chance to reclaim my life, my love, my identity. The words flow, a cathartic release, and as I write, I feel the first glimmers of hope, not for an escape, but for a new beginning, one where I am not just a participant in my life, but an author. The retreat, with its promise of change, now feels like a crucible, a place where I can forge a new path. Not away from my life but through it, with all its complexities and challenges. And as I close the journal, I know that whatever comes next, I'm ready to face it with Toby by my side, and perhaps with a renewed connection to Charles, to myself. The next morning I'm a bundle of nerves, unable to look anyone in the eye, especially Charles, who seems oblivious to the turmoil within me. I excuse myself from the group activities, claiming a headache, and retreat to our room. Alone I confront the reality of what I've done. Guilt, shame, and confusion swirl within me. I consider confessing to Charles, but the fear of losing everything we've built together paralyzed me. I spend the day in a haze, avoiding everyone, including Toby, whose innocent eyes now seem to judge me. My mind races with scenarios of confession, divorce, and public humiliation. I can't shake the image of Charles's face, the hurt that would surely follow if he knew. I pace back and forth in our room, my heart pounding in my C********T. The silence is deafening, broken only by my own ragged breaths. I try to focus, to think logically, but all I can see is the life we've created, the love we've shared now hanging by a thread because of my actions. The retreat, which was supposed to be a sanctuary, feels like a prison. Every laugh from outside, every footstep in the hallway makes me jump, expecting someone to barge in and reveal my secret. I sit on the edge of the bed, my hands trembling as I clutch the sheets. I think about Evelyn's words from the night before, about stepping back to see things clearly. But how can I step back when I've already fallen so far? The weight of my betrayal presses down on me, making it hard to breathe. I decide to write in my journal, hoping to find some clarity. My pen hovers over the page, but the words won't come. Instead, I find myself doodling mindless shapes and lines that reflect the chaos in my mind. The door creaks open, and I nearly jump out of my skin. It's just Charles, his face full of concern. "You've been in here all day. Evelyn, are you feeling any better?" His voice is gentle, caring, and it makes my heart ache. "I'm still not feeling well," I man to say, avoiding his gaze. "I think I'll stay in for a bit longer." He nods, his expression one of worry. "Okay, but let me know if you need anything, I'll be around." He leaves and the door closes with a soft click, sealing me back into my solitude. I can't stay in this room forever though. The retreat isn't over, and I need to face the world outside, even if it's just to maintain appearances. I gather my courage, take a deep breath, and step out into the hallway. The lodge feels different now, colder, the walls whispering my secrets. I walk down to the common area where the remnants of the morning's activities still linger. A few colleagues are there chatting, but I keep my distance, nodding politely when necessary. I find a quiet corner away from the prying eyes and sit down. The fire has died down to embers, but the warmth it once provided seems a distant memory. I pull out my phone, scrolling through photos of Charles and me, happier times that now feel like they belong to someone else. My thoughts are interrupted by the sound of footsteps. It's Evelyn, her presence both comforting and unnerving. She sits beside me, her gaze thoughtful. "You've been quiet today," she observes. "I've been thinking," I reply, my voice barely above a whisper, "about what you said last night about change." She nods, her eyes kind. "Change can be terrifying, but it's often necessary." "What are you thinking about changing?" I swallow hard, the words stuck in my throat. "I've made a mistake, Evelyn. A huge one. I don't know how to fix it." She doesn't press for details, just offers her hand. Sometimes fixing isn't about going back. It's about moving forward with honesty and courage. What do you want to do? I want to tell Charles. I confess, the words tasting like ash, but I'm scared. I'm scared of losing him, of losing everything. Evelyn squeezes my hand. Fear is natural, but it shouldn't dictate your actions. You've already taken the first step by acknowledging what you've done. Now you need to decide how you want to proceed. Do you want to live with this secret, or do you want to confront it? Her words echo in my mind, a mantra of sorts. Confront it. I need to confront it, not just for Charles, but for myself. The idea of confession terrifies me, but the thought of living with the secret of it, eating away at me, is worse. I stand up, my resolve hardening. I need to talk to him. I say more to myself than to Evelyn. I need to tell him. She nods, her support unwavering. Remember, whatever happens, you're not alone in this. You have people who care about you, who will help you through this. I walk back to our room, each step feeling like a march to my own execution. The door looms ahead, and I pause, my hand on the knob. I take a deep breath, push it open, and step inside. Charles is there, looking up from his book. Hey, you're back, he says, with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Perhaps sensing the tension. Charles, we need to talk. I say, my voice steady. Despite the storm inside me, there's something I need to tell you. He puts the book down, his expression turning serious. What's wrong? I sit next to him, taking his hand, feeling the warmth of his skin against mine. A stark contrast to the cold dread in my heart. Last night I did something I deeply regret. I betrayed our trust in a way I never thought I would. His eyes search mine, confusion turning to concern. What are you talking about, Evelyn? I take another deep breath, the words heavy on my tongue. I crossed a line with Toby. I was feeling so lost, so disconnected, and in a moment of desperation, I did something I can't take back. The silence that follows is thick, oppressive. Charles's face goes through a gamut of emotions: shock, disbelief, then a deep, palpable hurt. Evelyn. I don't know what to say. He finally whispers, his voice breaking. I'm so sorry, Charles. I've been struggling, feeling like I'm losing myself, and I made a terrible mistake. I understand if you need time, if you can't forgive me. I say, tears now streaming down my face. He looks away, his jaw tight. I need some time to think, he says, standing up and walking towards the door. He pauses, his hand on the handle. I love you, Evelyn, but this is a lot to process, and with that he leaves the door, closing softly behind him. I'm left alone, the room feeling emptier than ever. The weight of my confession, the fear of what comes next. It all crashes down on me. But amidst the despair there's a flicker of something else. Relief. Perhaps at having spoken the truth. Now I must wait in this limbo of my own, making to see if there's a path forward for us, for me. The retreat ends and we return home. The drive back is silent. My mind replaying the incident over and over. Each mile feels like a step further from the life I've known and closer to a confrontation I dread. Once home, I can't bear the weight of my secret any longer. I sit Charles down, my heart pounding, and begin to confess. His reaction is not what I expect. He listens, his face a mask of confusion, and then, unexpectedly understanding, he reveals his own struggles with our relationship, his feelings of inadequacy, and his fear of losing me. We really talk for the first time in what feels like forever. It's not forgiveness I seek, but understanding and perhaps a way forward, together or apart. I've been feeling like we're just roommates, Evelyn, Charles says, his voice low, almost a whisper. I've been trying to find ways to reconnect, but it felt like you were slipping away. His words hit me like a wave, the truth in them undeniable. I know, Charles, I felt it too. The retreat was supposed to be an escape, but it ended up being a mirror showing me how lost I've become. He nods, his eyes searching mine. I thought maybe you were unhappy with me, with us. I didn't know how to fix it. I was unhappy, but not with you. I confess, the words tasting bitter. I was unhappy with myself. I felt like I was living someone else's life, and last night it was a desperate attempt to feel something real. Charles's hand finds mine, his touch tentative. I'm hurt, Evelyn, but I also understand we've both been lost in our own ways. Maybe this is our chance to find each other again, or at least to find ourselves. The room feels charged with the weight of our confessions, the air thick with the possibility of change. What do you want? Charles, I ask, my voice barely above a whisper, fearing his answer. I want us to try, he says, his gay study. I want us to work on this to rebuild what we've lost. But I need honesty. Evelyn, no more secrets. I nod, tears welling up. I promise, no more secrets. I want to try too. I want to find my way back to you, to us. We sit in silence for a moment, the gravity of our decisions settling around us. Then Charles speaks again, his tone softer. I've been thinking about therapy for us. Maybe it could help us navigate through this. The idea of therapy, of laying bare our souls to a stranger, is daunting, but also a beacon of hope. Yes, let's do that, let's get help. He squeezes my hand, a small smile breaking through his solemn expression. And maybe we can start by doing things together again. Things we used to love, like hiking or cooking together. The suggestion feels like a lifeline, a way to reconnect. Not just emotionally, but through shared experiences. I'd like that, I say, feeling a small spark of excitement. A reminder of the joy we once found in each other's company. As the evening deepens, we decide to make dinner together. It's simple, just pasta with a homemade sauce. But the act of cooking side by side feels like a ritual, a rekindling of our bond. We laugh over spilled sauce and burnt garlic, the tension easing with each shared moment. After dinner, we sit by the fireplace, Toby curled up at our feet. The fire crackles, casting a warm glow over us. And for the first time in a long while, I feel a sense of peace. Charles wraps an arm around me, and I lean into him, feeling his heartbeat steady against my cheek. I'm scared, Charles. I admit, my voice muffled against his shirt. Scared of what this means for us, for our future. I am too, he replies, his voice a soothing rumble. But we're facing it together now, that's what matters. The night stretches on, and we talk about everything and nothing, the mundane and the profound. We discuss our dreams, our fears, and the small things we've missed about each other. It's not a solution, not yet, but it's a start, a foundation on which we might rebuild. As the fire dies down to embers, Charles looks at me, his eyes reflecting the dying light. We'll get through this, Evelyn. We'll find our way back to each other. Or at least to a new understanding. I nod, feeling the weight of his words, the promise they hold together. I echo the word, feeling like a vow, a commitment to not just survive this, but to grow from it. The night ends with us in each other's arms, the silence between us now comfortable, filled with the potential of tomorrow. We've opened a door, stepped into the unknown together. And while the path ahead is uncertain, we're walking it hand in hand, with Ziggy's soft snores as our soundtrack. A reminder of the simple joys we've yet to rediscover in the days that follow. Charles and I attend counseling, both individually and as a couple. The journey is painful, filled with tears and revelations, but also moments of reconnection. Each session feels like peeling back layers of our past, exposing the raw, unfiltered truths we've both been avoiding. The therapist, a woman named Dr. Helen, guides us through the labyrinth of our emotions with a gentle yet firm hand. She asks questions that cut deep, forcing us to confront not just the incident with Toby, but the underlying issues that led to such a profound moment of disconnection. I need you both to understand that what happened was not just a mistake, but a symptom of deeper issues, Dr. Helen explains during one session, her voice calm but authoritative. It's about understanding why Evelyn felt so isolated, why Charles felt inadequate, and how these feelings have shaped your relationship. Charles and I sit on opposite ends of the couch, the space between us feeling like a chasm. Yet, as we talk, as we share, that distance begins to close. Charles speaks first, his voice trembling with emotion. I've been feeling like I wasn't enough for you, Evelyn, like I was failing as a husband, as a partner. His words hit me like a wave, the truth in them undeniable. I've been feeling lost, Charles, like I was living someone else's life. And in that moment with Zig, I was desperate for something real, something that felt like it belonged to me. Dr. Helen nods, her eyes compassionate. It's important to recognize these feelings, to give them space. Now let's explore how you can both start to heal, to reconnect not just with each other, but with yourselves. The sessions become our sanctuary, a place where we can be vulnerable without judgment. We learn to communicate not just about our daily lives, but about our deepest fears, our hopes, and our dreams. One evening, after a particularly intense session, Charles and I decide to take Toby for a walk. The air is crisp, the kind that fills your lungs with the promise of something new. As we walk, Toby bounds ahead, his tail wagging, oblivious to the storm we've weathered. I've been thinking, Charles starts his voice, thoughtful as we follow Ziggy's path. Maybe we can start doing things together again, like we used to remember. How we used to hike every weekend. Y0U feeling a spark of excitement at the memory. Yes, I'd like that. I miss those times. Charles, they felt like us. We walk in silence for a while. The only sounds are our footsteps and Ziggy's playful barks. Then Charles reaches for my hand, his touch tentative. I want us to try, Evelyn, to rebuild what we've lost, but I need honesty, no more secrets. His hand in mine feels like a lifeline, a connection to the man I fell in love with. I promise no more secrets. I want to try too. I want to find my way back to you. To us, the decision to stay together isn't out of obligation, but from a renewed commitment to address our issues. Head on, we talk about our future, how we can rebuild trust not just in each other, but in the life we've built together. Toby, once an unwitting participant in my moment of madness, now becomes a symbol of our healing. His presence, his unconditional love reminds us of the simplicity of connection, of the joy found in the mundane. As we walk, we discuss small changes we can make, like setting aside time each week. Just for us, no phones, no distractions. We plan to cook together more often, to share in the creation of something simple, yet meaningful. I've also been thinking about starting a garden. I say, the idea coming to me suddenly, something we can nurture together. Watch grow. Charles smiles, his eyes lighting up. I like that. It could be our project, something to look forward to. The walks with Toby become our ritual, a time for us to talk about our feelings, our future, and how we can rebuild trust. The incident, though horrific, becomes a catalyst for change, for growth, and for a deeper understanding of love, fidelity, and the complexities of human emotions. We return home from our walk, the house, feeling different, not just a place where we live, but a space where we can heal. We sit down at the kitchen table, the same one where we've shared countless meals, and start planning. We need to make time for ourselves. Evelyn, Charles says, pulling out a calendar, let's block out time for us, for our therapy sessions, for our walks with Iggy, and for our new garden. As we fill in the calendar, each entry feels like a step forward, a commitment to not just survive this ordeal, but to thrive from it. The future, once a daunting unknown, now feels like a canvas waiting for our touch, our colors, our story. The question lingers in the air, unspoken but palpable. Will Evelyn and Charles's marriage survive this ordeal? Or will it be the beginning of something new? But as we sit there planning, talking and dreaming, it feels less like a question and more like a journey we're embarking on together, with Toby's soft snores as our soundtrack. A reminder of the simple joys we've yet to rediscover. If you feel that this story is meaningful and brings useful lessons, please like and subscribe to the channel to support me. Thanks.